Hey guys, welcome to linguamarina. When I first came to the US, I was amazed how extroverted people are compared to my culture. Just imagine that. 2013, I'm in New York. I just got my new sneakers from New Balance. And I'm walking on, I don't know, it was a kind of busy street. And a lady walks by and says, "Oh my God, I love your sneakers." That was such a cultural shock for me. I'm like, thank you. And I honestly thought that lady was weird. This is how much I was not used to random people complimenting my looks. Now, I'm just used to this. I was walking in New York in a beautiful dress just a week ago, and so many people told me, "Oh my God, I love your dress. Oh my God, is it your wedding day?" Because the dress was white. Now I completely understand this culture of compliments, of small talk at an event, and small talk is what gets you to meet new people, is what starts a conversation. And small talk is something that we just cannot avoid. It is present in my daily life, at almost every corner, at a grocery store, while walking, or during a coffee break, at a conference, like everywhere. And I've kind of mastered the small talk, okay? I've been here for a while now and I love meeting people, but also I like making meaningful connections, and small talk actually allows you to understand people around you a little bit more. But before we dive into phrases and more examples of small talk, I wanted to introduce the sponsor of this video, Argo Visa. Argo Visa offers one-on-one consultations with former US visa officers who understand exactly what consular officers look for in each interview. These experts know how to help you prepare answers that are clear, natural, and effective, ensuring that your interactions are communicated accurately. Plus, if English isn't your first language, Argo helps bridge that gap so you can express yourself confidently. They will tell you which compliments are okay during the interview and what things are not okay to say during the interview. So small talk is also applicable to situations like visa interview. Argo's Visa's personalized approach is invaluable. They don't just give generic advice. Instead, they tailor their guidance to your unique situation, helping you stand out in a process that can feel intimidating. And it was for me. When I was interviewing for my visa, I got so many weird questions. I wish I had someone like Argo Visa to help me prepare for that. And it's not just for tourist visas. Whether you're applying for work, student, or family visa, Argo's insider knowledge could be just what you need to avoid misunderstanding and make a strong impression. So if you want to maximize your chances, visit argovisa.com and book a consultation with a former visa officer. Now let's dive into the ways you can boost your confidence when chatting in English, starting with some simple, effective conversation starters. So one of the phrases that I really like during a party, it's like, "Hey, how's your night going?" This phrase will be applicable if you're sitting at the same table with someone. I was just at a big gala in New York and I was sitting with a lot of people I didn't know. So, "Hey, how's your night going?" is a great question to start a conversation. When it comes to formal situations, small talk is actually a delicate art of striking a balance between being relaxed but not too casual, polite but not too serious, and professional but not too boring. So here are a few conversation starters you can use in an office setting to help you achieve that balance. One tip, be genuinely interested in a person who you're talking to. So if you're suggesting a topic like, "So I heard you closed a new client today." Like, be genuinely interested in hearing about that client, okay? Because if you're just starting a conversation about like, "Oh, your dress is amazing," but you don't care about fashion, don't do it, okay? Your interest, your fashion, your excitement is what everybody sees. People do pay attention to words, okay? But they also pay attention to your movement, to the light in your eyes. Another conversation starter. Are you still working with that company, or you're still working on that project with YouTube? Or another question could be, any exciting plans for Halloween or any exciting plans for Christmas? How long have you been working here? When you are criticizing something, it could be a great conversation starter, but be careful. So I am always complaining about food in the US, and I can say the coffee here isn't very good. Do you know any coffee spots around here? Most of the times these things work, but sometimes I see people who just don't care about the quality of coffee, so they're like, "Nah, I don't know." Any recommendations for a good lunch spot around here? This is something that really works in any environment. Especially, well, here in the Bay Area, a lot of people are foodies, so they love giving recommendations in terms of where to eat. If you're at a formal setting where people are giving presentations, you can say, hey, your speech, your presentation was impressive. Can you give me any tips on this, this, and that? I'm also thinking of attending this event. Are you considering it too? But what about strangers? What about situations when you're stuck in an elevator with someone you don't know? Here's a list of small talk topics and questions you can use in different situations. And I'll give you 5 easy ways to dive into some small casual talk and make it interesting. Compliments always work. I like your style. And when it comes to conversations, English speakers are all about being friendly. It's no big deal for them to toss a compliment to a stranger on the way to work. And as I mentioned, these situations happen to me all the time. So things like, I love your jacket, where'd you get it? That's a lovely scarf, where'd you get it? Hey, I couldn't help but notice your dress. It looks great on you. Make sure you give a compliment that fits the moment and you're all set for an interesting chat. What I noticed about Americans is that a lot of them are ready to chat anywhere, anytime. There was this lady who approached me in New York 2 days ago, and she started talking about Democrats and who I should vote for. And she was like giving me all of the reasons. And I was like, wow, I don't even know who you are. But again, this is the US. You just learn and you adapt. I wouldn't talk about politics to strangers, honestly, because, I know so many stories when people lost their jobs or just spoiled the situation by talking about politics. But we love to talk about whatever is happening around us. Waiting for the bus, complain about how long it's taking. In a store, share a killer recipe involving the item right next to you. And I've been in that situation many times. For example, there is this grocery store called Trader Joe's in the US where people are trained to be extremely friendly. And if I'm looking at like a pasta sauce, sometimes they would approach me and say like, oh, you add this to this gluten-free pasta and this flavor is just amazing, and they give you tips. Just this friendly atmosphere. This is something that I miss about the US when I travel, honestly. I've noticed that in the US, people are basically the friendliest and they love to chat the most. And basically, the way small talk happens, people just approach you. So imagine you're at an art gallery. Someone can approach you and you can do the same and say, that painting is pretty intriguing. What's your take on it? Or are you interested in 19th century European art? Like, this basically happens all the time. But basically the rule is be nice and share your honest thoughts. Share what's going on in your head, because the best conversations happen when both parties are interested in the topic. In relaxed settings like a bar or party or a concert lineup, you can easily start a conversation by a simple question about where you are. First time here? Are you here with friends? Are you here alone, or did you come with someone? What brought you to this event? Do you come to these kinds of gatherings often? Learn these phrases, they're just perfect. Have you ever been to an event like this before? It's quite the crowd here, isn't it? Do you come to these events often? It's my first time, I'm so excited. I'm just loving the vibe of this place. What do you think? Oh my god, it's something that I hear a lot and I love it. I love your energy. What's your secret? Oh, I love this song. The music here is great, don't you think? I saw this DJ at a party I went to last week. Do you know him? If you're eating something, you'd be like, oh my god, have you tried the chocolate cake? It's a taste sensation. You can also ask about an opinion. What do you think about this type of music? What are you drinking? Looks delicious. I always ask people what are they having for dinner at a restaurant. Like, I can just approach someone and ask like, oh, what are you having? It looks amazing. And then I ask the waiter to give me the same. Now, if someone introduces you to another person, ask how they know each other. That's a great conversation starter. So, how do you know Kate? So you're John's friends, right? How long have you known each other? How'd you guys meet? Or if you're at a birthday party, you can ask other guests, how do you know the birthday girl or the birthday guy? From there, you can chat about anything, work, school, hobbies. One answer leads to another and the conversation flows. But remember one thing, if it's just you asking questions and another person is just answering like, yeah, I like it. No. They don't want to talk. Like, there are people who don't want to talk and it's okay. If somebody doesn't want to talk, you can say like, oh, thank you, that's it. Like, you're asking them, how do you know the birthday girl? And they're like, oh, went to school together. And you're like, oh, I love your dress, by the way, where'd you get it? Oh, Marks and Spencer's. And you're like, and they're not asking anything back. Then this is a signal for you to stop and approach somebody else. Such a great exercise for not just your English, for just in general, seeing that people sometimes are friendly, sometimes they're not. It's great training. I do it all the time. And I wanted to highlight that it's advisable to steer clear of certain sensitive topics such as politics. I don't know, sometimes people ask me, like, we're approaching elections. Probably when this video is out, the elections are over. Oh my God. But people are asking me who you vote for. And I'm like, because sometimes people have very strong opinions. And sometimes I say it's a bad question to ask, okay? Ask me something else. Gossip, especially about people you know, don't discuss other people. Or like personal life details. Are you married? Do you have kids is a good question if you're talking about kids already. But if you're not, it might be impolite. Age, health issues. I make mistakes with small talk all the time. I was at this party 3 days ago, and there was this lady. So beautiful. She's amazingly beautiful. Her lips, they're like the most beautiful lips I've ever seen. And of course I asked where she did her lips. And she was like, these are my natural lips. But like, to make things worse, I'm like, you haven't edited anything? Like she's like, yes. And she was already frustrated. Thanks God, something happened to my throat and I started coughing and I couldn't continue conversation. I needed to cough like for a minute at least. But it was so embarrassing. So whenever it comes to like health issues, appearances, finance, religion, disasters, tragedies, think twice before asking questions, because these subjects can quickly lead to disagreements or discomfort, especially when conversing with someone you don't know well. But topics like weather, outfits, saying beautiful day, isn't it? It's so cold today. We couldn't ask for a nicer day, could we? These topics are totally fine. I wanted to give you a tip on what else can help you in your chat. Active listening. Remember I mentioned you have to be interested in whatever you're mentioning. So pay full attention to what the other person is saying. Sometimes I see people approaching me at a party and they're like, what do you do? And they're already looking at somebody else and thinking who to talk to. I'm like, why would you even approach me? And I try to disengage from that person and just leave them. Don't do that, okay? But pay full attention to what the other person is saying. Keep your phone away and other distractions away. Throw in some supportive comments, nods, and questions based on what they've said. And try to ask questions that are open-ended versus asking questions that could be answered with a yes or no, because those can lead to awkward situation. And of course, body language. Smile, keep that eye contact. It's very important. Another tip for a small talk, confidence. I know starting a conversation can feel nerve-wracking in many situations, and it's normal to feel a bit nervous. Don't obsess over your pronunciation, perfect grammar, or fancy words. It's good to know them. The more you practice, the better. But when you're actually having this conversation, focus on another person and focus on what you're excited about. Stay positive, try to keep things upbeat, avoid complaining, diving into gloomy topics. If the conversation starts to lag or gets awkward, don't panic. Just switch to another topic or say, enjoy your dinner, enjoy your night, and talk to somebody else. Be culturally savvy. In some places, it's okay to chat about career growth and paychecks with total strangers, while in others, it's not. Like in the US, you wouldn't really ask how much you're making here. In the world where human connections are more valuable than ever, knowing how to start a conversation can be a game changer. So if you're looking to meet new friends, if you're looking to meet new colleagues, engage in as many small talks as possible. Happy chatting and see you soon on Lingua Marina.